Does Sentry actually beat Superboy Prime, or is that conclusion built on assumptions? A lot of people already think they know the answer to this matchup. Most conclusions lean towards Sentry, usually because of phrases like limitless power, godlike, or reality warping. Fans often introduce variables and scales that aren't supported by the comics themselves. Things like intelligence or experience get scored even when the material doesn't reach saturation. Numbers get assigned where the evidence is silent, and gaps get filled with headcanon instead of confirmation. That's the problem this analysis is addressing. Instead of invented variables, this breakdown sticks to what the material actually supports, structured variables that matter in a fight tested against clear scales. So, before deciding who wins, the only honest place to start is the first variable that determines everything else in a direct confrontation: raw offensive output. The focus is simple: how much damage each character can produce, at what scale, and how reliably that output can be applied in combat. At the highest scale, Superboy Prime operates at a level where raw force alone destabilizes structures larger than single universes. His output includes destroying Earth-15 outright, ripping open Monarch armor, and remaining unharmed when the released quantum energy destroyed the entire universe, and delivering a single blow that destabilizes the last 52 universes. He punches reality, time, and space until it fractures open, and those fractures lead to hypertime access and timeline disruption. This places his offensive output at a multiversal structural scale, where damage affects the framework that universes exist within, not just the contents inside them. Sentry also demonstrates extremely high offensive output, but the ceiling is less clearly defined. His power source is described as 1,000,000 exploding suns, and his abilities include tearing open a rift in reality between the negative zone and the regular Marvel universe, creating an explosion that tears a hole in space between the negative zone and the Cancerverse, and defeating Molecule Man, a being stated to be capable of destroying Galactus with a thought. These feats confirm universal-level output with potential reach toward higher scales, but without a single incident showing direct destabilization of multiple universes simultaneously through one act of force. The difference becomes sharper when looking at the variable of consistency. Superboy Prime's output is repeatable and stable. He kills 32 Green Lanterns en route to Oa, destroys an entire Justice League Earth-15 by himself, and fights multiple top-tier entities in succession without any indication that his power drops or fluctuates. The same level of output appears again and again under different conditions. Sentry's output, while enormous, is gated. His own condition shows that mental instability leads to immobility, and he explicitly fears losing control even for a millisecond due to dangerous consequences. Several of his highest-end feats are tied to emotional stress or specific circumstances, rather than a consistently accessible combat state. This places his offensive power in a mentally gated and situational range rather than a fully stable one. Both characters reach universal scales, but Prime exceeds that by directly damaging multiversal structures through physical force and doing so consistently. Sentry's power is vast and potentially unbounded, but in a conditional hypothetical combat scenario, output that is structural, repeatable, and ungated holds the advantage. Following the discussion of raw offensive output, the next question is whether that level of force can be absorbed, resisted, or bypassed. This shifts the focus to durability and damage resistance, where survival thresholds and resistance ceilings determine how long a character can remain functional under extreme pressure. At the upper scale of durability, Superboy Prime shows resistance that extends beyond physical or energetic harm into reality-level and abstract territory. He is directly exposed to quantum energy that destroyed the entire universe after ripping open Monarch armor, and is described as being unharmed, undamaged, and completely fine afterward. He survives a Guardian detonating himself, an act that fails to kill him and only results in displacement. He also survived and escaped the Source Wall, a construct that traditionally immobilizes gods, cosmic beings, and abstract entities. These incidents place his durability at an abstract, conceptual scale, where even universe-ending or cosmic administrative forces fail to neutralize him. Sentry also demonstrates extreme resistance, but it manifests differently. His durability is strongly tied to regeneration and recovery, rather than absolute negation. He survives a nuclear explosion at point-blank range, endures the vacuum of space, and shows no physiological defects when scanned. More importantly, he came back from having his molecularity dispersed multiple times, and is described as able to regenerate from a single atom or after his body was destroyed and blown up. This establishes a reality-level scale of durability, where destruction of form does not equate to defeat. The key separating variable is the lethality threshold. Superboy Prime is described as someone who cannot die nor be erased from existence. If he dies or is erased, he is sent back to Earth Prime, and this occurs repeatedly, including being erased by another version of himself and during death metal events. This places him beyond functional immortality into a non-erasable scale, where even successful kills fail to remove him from play. Sentry, by contrast, is described as immune to aging and inevitably dying, and even if killed, neither Sentry nor the Void can be permanently disposed of. However, this still operates within a functionally immortal scale rather than true non-erasure. He can be destroyed, dispersed, or killed, even if he later returns. In practical power scaling terms, this means Superboy Prime does not rely on recovery to stay relevant in combat. Attacks simply fail to end him. Sentry survives through regeneration, which assumes time, cohesion, or mental stability to reassert himself. When paired with Prime's level of offensive force, this difference becomes decisive. With durability and damage resistance established, the final step is determining who acts first, who controls engagement, and who can bypass reaction windows. This is where speed and temporal relevance becomes decisive, because even overwhelming power means little if it cannot be applied in time. On the movement side, Superboy Prime consistently operates at light speed and beyond. He can fly between planets at light speed, outrunning both Superman Earth-1 and Earth-2, and explicitly states that flying through Oa at light speed would create a new Big Bang. His speed is not limited to straight-line travel. He travels through dimensions, repeatedly returning to Earth Prime, punches reality, time and space, until it fractures open, allowing entry into hypertime. This places his movement speed at a transdimensional scale, where speed is no longer confined to distance alone. Sentry also reaches extreme velocity. He travels to the sun and back in a matter of moments, which requires faster-than-light movement, and has shown the ability to travel an indistinguishable amount of light-years in a very short of time. He even moves so fast that he bends time and space. These feats firmly establish him in the faster-than-light scale, but they stop short of showing independent dimensional or temporal traversal through speed alone. The gap widens when examining the reaction and combat speed variable. Superboy Prime possesses reflexes that let him perceive the world in slow motion, but more importantly, he operates on a tier where only the combined effort of 3 top-tier speedsters removes him from the battlefield. Even then, he is not defeated. He later escapes the Speed Force, a dimensional prison specifically designed to contain speed-based entities. This places his reaction capability at a Speed Force-resistant scale, meaning conventional and even high-end speed manipulation fails to decisively contain him. Sentry's reaction speed is high, but narrower in scope. He reacts at superhuman speeds exceeding several times the speed of sound, catches a sniper bullet from a highly advanced scroll gun, and is described as operating with precision down to the nearest millisecond. He has occasionally matched Thor's combat speed, placing him at a superhuman to relativistic scale with moments of higher parity, but without evidence of resistance to dedicated Speed Force systems. In power scaling terms, this means Superboy Prime controls the pace of combat. He can engage, disengage, displace, or escalate across spatial and temporal boundaries while remaining functionally uncontainable by speed-based counters. Sentry is extremely fast, but his speed remains reactive rather than dominant at the highest scales. So, who actually wins when everything is on the table? The fight opens with initiative, and initiative is dictated by speed and temporal relevance. Superboy Prime does not just move fast, he operates at a trans-dimensional scale, escaping the Speed Force, overwhelming multiple top-tier speedsters, and physically interacting with time through hypertime. Sentry, while faster than light, remains reactive. He bends time as a side effect of movement, but he does not control it. That alone means Prime decides when exchanges happen. Once contact is made, the encounter immediately shifts to raw, offensive output. Prime's attacks are not energy-based probes or gradual escalation. He uses physical force causation that has already destabilized the last 52 universes, destroyed Earth-15 outright, and triggered Big Bang-level events without self-harm. Sentry's output, even at the scale of 1,000,000 exploding suns, still operates at a mentally gated variable. He can reach universal-level force, but doing so risks loss of control, hesitation, or collapse. In a live combat exchange, hesitation is a liability. Prime exploits immediately. When Sentry attempts to absorb or regenerate through damage, the fight does not reset in his favor. This is where durability and damage resistance becomes decisive. Sentry survives by regenerating from molecular dispersion, even from a single atom, placing him at a reality-level durability scale. Prime, however, does not need to overwhelm regeneration through attrition. He has already survived forces that destroyed an entire universe, endured Guardian-level self-destruction, and escaped the Source Wall, a construct meant to immobilize abstract entities. His durability reaches a non-erasable scale. Even if Sentry lands a perfect counterattack, Prime is not removed from play. At best, he is displaced. Prime's next move follows abductive logic. If the opponent cannot permanently kill him, but he can repeatedly destabilize reality around the opponent, the optimal strategy is overwhelming structural pressure, not precision. Prime punches reality, fractures time-space locally, and forces Sentry into a continuous state of reconstruction. Each reconstruction relies on Sentry's mental stability, which is already identified as fragile. The more extreme the environment becomes, the more Sentry must hold himself together rather than fight back. Meanwhile, Prime's power does not degrade. His energy sustainability is stable, his offense repeatable, and his reactions operate beyond conventional speed counters. Even 3 elite speed-based entities only manage to remove him temporarily. Sentry has no equivalent containment mechanism. Superboy Prime is superior. He hits harder at a higher scale, survives at a non-erasable threshold, acts first across time, and exploits instability rather than trying to overcome it directly.